Peace. Peace, everybody. Welcome to another segment of Community Radio. Today is Friday, and I'm your host, Kim. So, we're back again another day for another chat, if you would like to call it that. And I just want to remind everybody the number to call in is 515 605 9862. Just press the number one if you'd like to come in and speak, or if you have a question or comment that you'd like to share. Um, Before I get started with today's topics and before we get into the conversation, I just wanted to go over a few things. If you would like to be a part of the women's call or the men's call that we have, the men have theirs once a month. The women, we meet every Monday. Just make sure you go to ournewlifeglobal.org to sign up. And you have to at least be a part of the ministry to be on those calls. So please do that first before you reach out to us and say that you want to be on that call. We can't just send you the link. You have to be registered first, okay? It doesn't cost anything, so and it doesn't require anything of you to sign up, so you're not obligated to anything. But you have to at least be a part of the ministry. And you can do that by going to ournewlifeglobal.org, or you can sign up through the same site through the app. And so if you have an Android phone, you can just go to the Google Play Store and search for Our New Nation, and it should be there. Okay. Also, let's see, we're coming to, for those of you that are participating in the Phase 1 Challenge, we'll be moving on to Module 3, coming up this next strong. The Phase 1 Challenge is for those of you who are, having a bit of a time, getting through the spiritual training, and who would like to volunteer or be a part of some of the things that are going on with Our New Nation. Now, to be a part of those things, say if you want to work on the shows or be a host for one of the shows or be a part of any of the other things that we have going on, you have to have at least completed Phase 1 of the Our New Spiritual Training. And that's just so that everybody can kind of be on the same page. So some of the things that we talk about or some of the things that we do won't be so foreign to you. So you have to at least have completed Phase 1. The challenge started January 1st, and it's going to run through June. So we're giving you all about a couple of weeks for each lesson. And the lessons that are 7 days long, we're giving you about 3 strongs to complete those. So we're moving into Module 3. And if you go to seduluhouse.com and you type in Phase 1 Challenge, or if you do it from the app, when you go to Sedulu House, just type in Phase 1 Challenge, and it'll take you to the page where all that information is shared. We have videos that are being uploaded to kind of prep you for each lesson, and we have some notes there. You can ask questions, you can share your experiences, and you can also do the same thing if you log into the forum when you go to your Sedulu House account. So there's a student forum there that where we have answered some of the questions already. The class has been going on for some years now, so sometimes we may have questions that have already been answered, so you can go there to see if your question's already been answered. And it's important that you share your experiences. Again, this is, we're building or have built, and it's growing, a community. So you're encouraged to share amongst each other. We can't always just go directly to the chief with our questions. You have other students there who are going through some of the same things that you are. So, and some students who may be a little further along than you, so they may be able to answer your questions. So make sure you utilize the student forums. All right. Let's see, what else is going on? There's so much. Make sure you get a copy of the books that are offered by Our New Nation. Those books are Grasping the Root of Divine Power, which is a foundational book. You'll need it for phase one of the training, and it's just a good book to have, especially if you're trying to understand some of the concepts and calculations that she speaks about in all of the enlightenment and transformation shows. We have Solutions for Dysfunctional Families, and Shrine and Altar. All of those books are really, really good to kind of help you get started on, working with the ancestors or working with your Ori, working with Orisha, all those things. So those are books you'll definitely need, especially if you are in phase one. You'll need those books. You can't find all of the answers that you need in the actual class. You'll need to kind of just absorb yourself into this culture to really kind of understand what's going on and understand some of the lessons and everything. And so those ideas are shared in the books and in all of the shows. So you can go to our Enlightenment and Transformation channel on YouTube. There's Anu Nation on YouTube. Chief has his own channel on YouTube. There are several YouTube channels. So make sure you sign up or subscribe to those channels so that you can kind of be in the loop and you can get a little bit more information to kind of help you through the class, or to just even help you decide if this is something that you want to be a part of. A lot of information is shared there. Again, there are over 500 shows. And you can still go to Blog Talk to kind of go all the way back if you want to go all the way back. I think the shows have been on there for like 4 years. So imagine that. And there have been shows consistently done every strong for 4 years. So there are a lot of shows. All right. So today is Friday, and I'm just reminding you all that the community show now airs every day. So if you didn't get a chance to tune in yesterday or the day before, you can do it today, and you can call in every day now. So you're encouraged to share. Today, well, let's see, before I get into that, we've had some really good topics this strong. We've talked about emojis and this new language of artificial intelligence. We've talked about how to kind of combat some of the loneliness that you may experience when you're coming into conscious information. Sometimes we alienate ourselves, and sometimes our families just can't, gel with us anymore because of certain decisions or certain things that you don't participate in anymore. And the holidays can be the worst. We just came from December where some people still practice, Christmas, or practice some of those rituals that our family kind of grew up with. But now that you've come into this new information, you may not do that anymore. And so sometimes we may find ourselves, just kind of alone during those times. And those can be some of the hardest times, because it's not that you want to disassociate yourself with your family. It's just that it really kind of goes against some of the things that you do now. So we talked about experiencing that, that loneliness, and some of the things that you can do to kind of deal with it, or just cope, deal with it, or get over it. Let's see. We've talked about several different things. I can't even, remember them all. My days are just kind of, running together. So anyway, but the show does air daily, so you can call in whenever you like. Just press the number 1 or call 515-605-9862, and we'll bring you in. There's no set topic. I just usually try to come up with something to get the ball rolling, and then we just kind of discuss some of the points that I may have touched on. Or, like I said, you may have questions of your own. You can even ask customer service questions during this time. So now we can go ahead and get into it. There was a clip I wanted to share of Chief, something that he discussed in an older show. I think it was maybe a Foundational Friday show or a Thunderground Thursday show, or maybe then she speaks. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But I'm going to play that clip for you, and then we can, as you're listening, you might want to take some notes, or kind of get your thoughts together and see what you would like to ask or what you would like to comment on. Okay, so I'll play it now, and then we'll be back with the discussion.
There was something that a conversation that I had with someone yesterday that I thought was kind of important because just based off of like some of the things that we've been speaking about and some of the consistent questions and ideas that come in from people, uh, it made me think about, which most things do. Most time I'm speaking about something, it's usually, or even the shows I do, are usually a result of a conversation, or I'm looking at how frequent certain questions and comments are coming in, and I say, okay, yeah, let me speak on that. So I was speaking to someone yesterday, and he's going through some challenges right now, and he was kind of voicing some of his bewilderment at how um, certain individuals could be so afraid of, like, let's say, dark principalities and powers that be, because you know feeling like, okay, well, they can't really do anything to us because they're not righteous, like, and without that righteousness, they're not really able to do certain things. And he was saying, but they still have some of the mysteries and the secrets that need to be released to the righteous, and that's why so many people are becoming masons and this and that, so forth and so on. So I was explaining to him that, and this is a person who's a knower. He's not a neophyte by any means. So I was sharing my perspective, really, and I was saying that one of the challenges is that even though we always want the secrets to be released to us as the quote unquote righteous, um, and really our righteousness is subject to how we perceive what's right and what's wrong. So that's like one of your first things you got to kind of look at, because who's to say they're righteous? When you say, well, we're part of the righteous, you're saying you're righteous based on your current perception of how things should be done, or how the universe moves and the universe works. So I was saying, this is like a childish perspective. So even when you're dealing with the releasing of secrets or the releasing of mysteries per se, what I was sharing with him was that people are not really ready for those secrets to be shared to them. Even those who say that they're righteous, they're not ready for that. I mean, how many people, like I said to him, are ready to hear that God doesn't love them? Most people, or how many people are ready to stop referring to God as a sex? Some of the very basic and small things, people are not ready for, because unfortunately sometimes in our piety and in our righteousness, we grow and we go further and further away from our divinity. You'll find that this is why, like, when we talk about the Orisha or the Neteru or the Luau, or any of these great archangelic or angelic entities, whether they be African based or whether they be based in other parts of the world, we immediately begin to ascribe personalities and characteristics to them. Well, this one's like this. This one likes this. This one talks like this. This one's very angry. When you deal with Eshu, he's a trickster. And the reason that we have to ascribe those characteristics is because of our fall. You find that the further away, as a collective, as a people, the further away that we go away from our divinity, the more we have to ascribe anthropomorphic characterizations to our divinity. You see, so like the less divine we become, the more human we have to make the divine, so that we can relate to it, and that's a sign of our fall. You see, so even in thinking like, okay, well, the deities will have to, release the information to the righteous. Now you're thinking in terms of what's fair. It would be fair for me to get the information because I'm one of the righteous people. So why would somebody who's trying to control the world and destroying the world's natural resources and things like this, why would they have certain called power? And you have to realize that when you come into the realm of spirituality, you come into the realm of even-handedness and justness. So that justness removes you away from fairness. A child thinks in terms of what's fair. So, it's not fair that you're able to do this. It's not fair that I'm able to that you're able to do that. And that's really a childish perspective. So the problem is that we usually want to believe that our righteousness, or at least our perceived righteousness, is a necessary mandate for spiritual power, or it's a necessary mandate for spiritual secrets to be received by us. And this is not correct. Again, that goes to the humanizing of the universe. And that also goes to trying to ascribe this system of fairness to the universe. And what we end up doing is it creates a certain kind of complaint-based passiveness. So we're waiting now for some great cosmic event to wipe out the wickedness. And when the cosmic event wipes out the wickedness, then all of the mysteries of the universe will be revealed. And that's a mistake. Wickedness will do itself in. So you don't have to worry about that, because wickedness is what it means to be wicked. And be mindful that I'm not saying evil. I don't have an issue with evil. Evil's not a problem with me. Evil's not a problem. Good's not a problem. Bad's not a problem. I don't have a problem with any of that stuff. But wickedness is when we're anti-nature. When we're going against the natural order, that's when you become wicked. Okay? So things like the other night we were driving down the highway and somebody was throwing basically their entire dinner, utensils out the side of their car, plate, napkin, cups. And that's wicked. That's a wicked thing to do, to litter in the environment like that. Now maybe if the stuff was biodegradable, then maybe we could create an argument for that. But, that's a form of wickedness. So the thing is, like I said, wickedness will kind of do itself in. And that means that the truth is that wickedness does still have access to the world's secrets, because in truth, wickedness existed before you did. So so many people, they find these ancient scrolls and these ancient books, and they're like, this is an old book that I found, and boom, boom, nobody knows about this. Well, people do know about it. All of these evil people who you feel existed, in the past or whatever, they read all these books already. They already been to Kemet. They're the ones who raided the tombs and scraped everything out and put the artifacts inside of their houses, and then paid for imitation reproductions to be created to be thrown inside of the Smithsonian and the other museums. So when you're going and you're thinking you're looking at Egyptian artifacts, are you crazy? You think they would put ancient artifacts with that much ashe and power on them in a place where you can either go in for free or go in on a $5 ticket, where the average unenlightened, quote unquote, individual can just go and observe these things? No. So that's something to kind of look at. And what I'm speaking about here is understanding that we have to begin to look at these deities or quote unquote gods as cosmic vibrations and as energy that have been translated into different things by various cultures. Now, depending on the level of humanistic characteristics that culture places upon that energy, will give you an idea of the fall level of that particular culture. So there's another piece, because it's really a part of your development. Now, I'm all for the reshaping of the quote unquote gods. I was speaking to someone recently, and I was giving her a prescription, and she has a Latina background. She's a Latina. So I was like, listen, we were dealing with Babalu Aye. I was like, you don't have to use Babalu Aye for this. You can use San Lazaro. And she was like, okay, is that okay? I was like, yeah, use what you're comfortable with. Unless you just look at the Yoruba entity and I want to work with the Yoruba. But if you're dealing with the entity, you're allowed to use something that looks like you. That's why even when we deal with Santeria, I'm all for Santeros using saints, because the saints look like them. If you're Puerto Rican, whatever, you have some Dominicans, they get into Santeria, but Dominicans, they usually deal with that Division 21. But the thing is, that whole idea of ascribing a god that looks like you, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. We don't have to monopolize the world with our images, because the truth is the first deity that you've ever conceptualized was your parent or parents. That was your first idea of any type of deity. So of course it would stand to reason that when you now come into a space of spirituality or a place of knowing, that those same deities, you're going to ascribe parental attributes to them. So the love that you're going to have and the love that you assume that they have for you is a filial love. So there's nothing wrong with reshaping that in your earlier needs, because when you're still at that level, when you need a parent figure, you're going to do that. And this is why most of the time you're going to call the deities or gods, quote unquote, you're going to call them mother or father, or mama this, mama earth, father sky, Baba Ogun, mama Oshun, because you're still looking for those parental attributes in your spiritual ecology. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with that, but that's a level. So where we're really trying to get to, when we get to that next level, you realize that you don't need that parental figure. And we grow beyond looking to shape and form and define what we see those cosmic entities to be. And we come into a place where we say, you know what? We're dealing with energy now. And we don't get hung up on the images so much, or we don't get hung up on what we consider to be invasions of our systems and invasions of our religion, because they're not yours. I don't get hung up on that because you know what? I'm not from Nigeria. So they took our system. That's not. I'm learning it like everybody else is learning it. Doesn't matter that I've been there and been installed as certain things in certain Nigerian cultures and certain Nigerian villages. It doesn't really matter because I'm still coming in as a visitor. And if I even moved to Nigeria today, I'd still be a visitor because I have so much Westerner inside of me. It's ridiculous. There's things that I don't even, maybe even the way I'm talking right now, maybe the aggressiveness and the force of my voice right now is a part of that. You see, so when you get beyond that understanding and beyond trying to group some of these entities into certain identity groups, you'll see the science of them. You see the energy of them, the true energy and the truth of them. Really, that's what we're dealing with, the truth of them. We won't get hung up on the system or the religion. We'll understand that everybody can create their own cultural mechanisms or their own cultural perspective. Everybody has that opportunity and option. So another culture may see thunder or may see rain or may see humid air and say, well, this is what I'm going to prescribe to that notion. They're allowed to do that because we're just dealing with a falling of energy, because that rain was something before it fell into that condensed form of rain. It was something before that, and 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 before that. So the moment that anyone begins to define anything, they don't really have the thing anyway, so it doesn't matter, And there's another piece. We got to understand really the difference between a mystery and a secret. Mysteries are used to shroud the truth. Secrets are created to be revealed to the proper people at the proper time. That's what a secret is. So I know a lot of times when we speak about our ancient schools, especially in Kemet, the ancient schools of Zimbabwe, we speak about, and we often will say they were mystery schools, but really they were secret schools. They weren't mystery schools. I'm going to tell you where your mystery schools are. We have mystery schools today in modern times. Your mystery schools are your public school systems. Your mystery schools are your colleges. Your mystery schools are your universities. That's mystery schools because they're shrouding the truth. They're not uncovering the truth to those who strive towards it. They're covering it up for everyone and training you to be dumb to the truth.
Okay, welcome back. Again, for those of you just tuning in, this is Community Show. Today is Friday, and that was a clip from a show Chief did. I think the title of it was Spiritual Ignorance, and that was actually a live show. So that was just Chief's part. He used to do like a piece before he got to the live questions, And even when I was going through the show, I think Dietrich was one of the callers that called in a little bit later. So it was just interesting to hear his questions, from way back then to where he is now. So it shows some growth. But there were so many points brought up in that clip that we really have to kind of break that apart. But if you have a question or comment about anything in the clip, that is our discussion for today. So just press the number 1 or call 515-605-9862. And I'll just start it off just a little bit. One of the first points that that Chief pointed out was that he was saying, how many of us have, we think we're ready for all of these secrets to be revealed to us, but, how many of us are ready to hear just the fact that God doesn't love you? That's like a powerful, that's a huge thing for a lot of people because we grew up with that. There's songs about it. God loves you. Smile. God loves you. That's like a bumper sticker thing. You know what I mean? We're programmed to think that there's this external entity that has this unconditional love for us no matter what it is that we do. And when we come into this particular system or a lot of indigenous systems, you start to learn that, you know what? God doesn't love you like that. Like, this is just an energy. It doesn't have human feelings and human emotions and all of that kind of stuff. Even the Orisha, sometimes even when we get into Orisha studies, we transfer those ideas we had about God onto the Orisha. And we feel like, oh, the Orisha love us. Oshun loves us. She's going to do this for us. She's going to do that for us. And they're just energies. And, this is something that we all may have done. I've done this, because it's like when you first come in, like I said, you're programmed with so many thoughts. And I wasn't even, brought up in the church. But that was just something that, everybody said. So I was like, oh, okay, God loves me, And then sometimes when we have that idea that God loves us or whatever, we also interpret it as God or the universe or whatever, they owe us something. So because they love me, they owe certain things to me. And another thing is that it's like, you can also fall into this trap, like he was saying about that particular God or whatever will only work for the people who belong to a certain race of, wherever it came from. And so it's like, I had to come to the realization, even when I came into this system, I was like, okay, they don't love me either. Like the Orisha don't love me. God doesn't love me, so what is this all about? And I had to think about it. And I was just like, okay, what am I trying to do? And then it brought me to this conclusion that I was trying to reclaim some type of power and control over my life. And having that idea that God loves you or that the Orisha loves you or the Luau loves you or whatever, it's like you have this idea that some supernatural force is supposed to do certain things for you. They're supposed to do it for me, and that's how we kind of come to these energies and how we start to work with them. We're like, okay, they're supposed to do it for me because they love me. So you still have this kind of religious mindset, even though you may have shifted into another tradition, another spiritual tradition. An example of this, I remember having a conversation once. We used to have these talks, in a group, as a group of people, where I am. And somebody was making the point to one person that's not really into this information, but they were curious about it. And they told him that, there was no historical figure named Jesus, or trying to tell him like that Jesus doesn't exist, or asking him, what would he do if he found out that Jesus didn't exist and that everything he had been taught about God and Jesus and everything was wrong, that, this is just a story. And it, that goes back to what Chief was saying. Like, everybody's not ready for certain secrets. And so his response was, what? Like, you trying to tell me like Jesus didn't exist or God doesn't exist? He's like, if that's true, then I'm gonna I'm gonna go out and I'm drinking all the time. I'm gonna do drugs. I'm gonna kill people. I'm gonna rape people. He was like, because his sense of his understanding of Jesus or of God, and knowing that God loves him and that Jesus loves him, is what was keeping him from doing all these things. And so as I'm sitting here on the panel, I'm just thinking to myself, you know what? Let that man keep his Jesus and keep his God. If this is what's keeping him from devolving into all these different type of behaviors, so he was an example of somebody that, he's not ready for certain secrets, even though, when we hear that there are secrets, it's like we want to know what they are immediately because we feel like we're being left out of some type of special information. And we feel like, well, I'm special enough. I need to know. Tell me about it. I want to know what it is. Don't leave me out. And so even with this particular person, saying that, I was just like, you know what? Leave that man alone. Let him keep that. And when he's ready to let it go, or when certain things are revealed to him, he'll come to that conclusion or whatever conclusion in his own time. Like, sometimes we do that. Once we learn something, we want to share it with everybody else. And we're not really thinking about what it may do to a person to tell somebody something like that. We don't have we get overwhelmed by our excitement of it and our revelation of, the information that we get. It's just like, oh my God, did you know Jesus doesn't exist? Jesus, who is Jesus? The letter J didn't even exist, blah, blah, blah. We just kind of start running down all these things to different people who aren't necessarily ready for it. Let me go to a call real quick. This is 615. Greetings.
Greetings, Sister Kim. I know it's kind of loud, so I'm going to try to... Hey, how y'all doing?
Go ahead. We're well. How are you?
I'm kind of blown away. Have y'all been feeling a very, very heavy SU energy this past couple of days?
I don't know about me personally. I mean, I work with SU daily, so I think
okay.
I have been thinking about SU a lot, but I always do so.
Okay, because let me tell you what happened. I got
okay.
Like I have to get it out while it's fresh.
Okay.
Okay. Yesterday, the day I want to say Wednesday, I went to SU because my SU is Gede Ningbo, and I went to SU. I said, I really want to understand you more. I really want to understand SU more because SU got so many roads.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, how do I understand SU more? So I went to work. And when I got done doing my work, I went in front of my shrines, my Orisha, my Egongo, and by the time I got done, it was 2:22 at night on the dot. Full moon right on top of us. The very next day, Thursday, I'm at a security detail, and we was leaving, and right when I was leaving, I found it was a card laying face down at the base of a tree, on like a sidewalk where everything is concrete, and then you have the tree planted in the concrete.
Yeah.
So it was a red card at the base of a tree. I said, I bet this card is gonna be something interesting. So I picked it up and I turned it over, and it was guess what card it was? Can you just a wild guess?
A jack. I don't know. A heart. I don't know.
It was
a joker.
It was the big joker.
Yeah.
The big joker.
Wow.
So I was looking at the card, and right when I was walking back to kids, because they almost pulled off and left me. But there was this homeless guy in a wheelchair with a bad arm. His right arm was deformed. Like, hey man, you got something for me, man? I'm kind of down bad. I'm like, oh yeah. So I reached in my pocket. So I know I got $1 in my pocket. So I couldn't find $1. I reached in my coat pocket and I pulled out a $5. I was
Okay.
like, damn. I said, I can't say no because I don't know what a $1 bill is. So I then gave him the $5. I said, here, you can have it. So I get to work. I'm looking at this card. Like I'm just looking like, wow, this is definitely SU, this big joker.
Yeah.
So I go to put the card back in my coat pocket, and how about I find another $5 in my pocket?
Wow.
Another $5 bill in the same pocket.
Wow.
So I'm like, where did this come from? I know I'm not tripping. So later on that day, we went and got lunch, and they gave me a sheet with all the names of the people that was coming today. So I put it in my coat pocket as well. So I'm like, I got a lot of stuff in my pocket. So I reached back in my coat pocket to take some stuff to put the other paper in, and it was the $1 bill was there.
That you were looking for.
Yes. So
wow.
then I'm like, wow, I've been walking around with $11 today.
Yeah.
Didn't even know it. So later that day, I end up going to the gym or something, playing basketball. I got up and went to work the next day. Me and the sister, we work at the radio station, and at the radio station we do like lunches for like the YET program, Youth Entertainment something program. And like the question of the year that I had proposed to the people, I was picking, but I just wanted to see what people gonna say because I was curious. I was okay. We can run down a laundry list of what's wrong with black people. Black men don't do this. Black women don't do that. Black people lazy. Black people can't never be on time. Black people, all this stuff. I said, what's the white man's weakness? And how do we capitalize on it? Since we can't stand white folks, what's their weakness? Because we know our weaknesses. And they couldn't really name one. So it was a sister in there. She had on pink and black. Well, pink shirt with pink hair. And she was like, you know what a white man's weakness is? The black man. She was like, because black boys are natural protectors to their mother, and if you keep that intact, we'll be fine. So we were just building from that. So yesterday, Friday, we went to a Shango Bembe. So this is a Shango Bembe. So we all in all white doing our Shango thing, and one of the Elegba priests had went to go put water in the glass bowl, and I kid you not, he was walking back to put the water on the shrine, and it jumped out his hand, fell, and broke. So all the priests and the Bible, I was like, hold on, everybody, stop, don't move, because they started thinking they like, touch it. When you carrying glass like that at a bembe and it falls and breaks, that means something just broke for all of us. Like the spirit just broke something for all of us. So we partying at the bembe. And one of the Bibles, you'll hear about it like within the next couple of months, I'm sure, because it's on iTunes, Google Play, and all that. Okay. They was playing a song they were doing an SU song, a Legba song. So we vibe. We all in the facility vibing, kids, elders, everything. We just in there vibing. I go with the song. Now this is an R&B song that they made, and right when we get in the groove of it, the power shuts off to the radio. She was like, "Oops, it's over." So the lady was like, "What happened to my sound system? What's wrong?" We could it just cut completely off. So all the sisters is going around trying to find out what happened to the power. How about now? All of us are sitting down listening to the song because they told us to sit down and shut up and listen to the song. So we all sitting down. Nobody was standing up, kids included. So they then find out that the plug had got pulled out of the wall by like a quarter inch. They was like, no way. They was like, which one of y'all did that? We was like, what you mean? We all sitting down with you.
Sitting down, yeah.
Sitting down. So I get to work. The boss lady locked her keys in the car. Her battery died, and we didn't have any gloves to do work with. So I was like, I know what this is. SU is still down from. Drop at the crossroads. So we get to her house. I take her to get her battery and everything. She was having a miscommunication on insurance. They overcharged her insurance because she was just in 2 accidents in a row. Broke on vacation and wrecked the rental. I was like, okay, yeah, leg by ain't forgetting.
Wow.
So I instantly get to the crossroads and I throw 3 pennies and I hit a curb. I was like, okay. I get what this is for real. So me and the sisters, we was in there talking, about what we was talking about. There was some young ladies that came in, and she was talking about how her mother died. I was like, well, she's a girl now. She was that. I said, Google are your ancestors. You can tap into them. Just set you up a little shrine. I told them how to do it. I'm like, just think about it. When you hear the voices in our head and they saying it's her, 9 times out of 10 it's her. And the young lady, today she had on pink again. Pink shirt, pink shoes, pink hair. And she was like, you know what's crazy? I had a dream on the way up here while I was stuck in traffic that I was holding this baby, and I was saying, it's a girl. And a spirit came behind me and said, isn't she beautiful? And the girl started crying because she said her mother died when she gave birth to her.
Interesting.
And her friend said this. Her friend said the same thing. She was like, my mother died when she gave birth to me. So she had to go get some applesauce because we was giving applesauce for the children that we feed. When she came back in, Sister Kim, I bullshit you not. She was carrying the applesauce in a bag, and the applesauce jumped out of the bag and fell on the ground and cracked open. I said, my goodness. Again, they started like, no, don't clean it up. When I heard it mean when something like that breaks, something just got released. And she was like, wow. So, like, I was like, okay, we need to light a candle and some water or something because somebody had gone this down. Somebody from the kitchen. So, like, we cleaning up and everything. And the other girl dropped, she had a container. It was in a styrofoam cup. She was holding it and dropped it, and it broke again. I was like, wait a minute now. This I can't be that crazy. I can't be that. I know I'm a little off, but I can't be that crazy. So she was like, they was crying and hugging each other. She was like, yeah, your mother, is like, she was like, the lady was describing her mother to her. They was crying, and all of them technically were orphans because all their mothers died while she was giving birth to them. So I go to take out some trash. I come back, and like, because the girl whose mother died was cleaning up. She was like, man, it's so much trash. All this food in the refrigerator is spoiled. It's dead. Like, we get, I got to throw all this away. And I was like, yeah, you pretty much on cleanup detail. She was like, yeah. So we were just talking about, like, what you want to do with your life. I was like, you know what? Maybe you the one cleaning up. That's your life. Like, you cleaning your life up. And she was like, man, I don't want to throw all this stuff away. This is hard. And I was like, yeah, you probably got to clean your life up. So after they got done, the other girl had got a can opener because the can opener wasn't working. So we were just doing it like, country style. We was popping it with knives. So she was like, she went and found the can opener that couldn't nobody find the day before. And she was like, how you put it together? I said, maybe that's something that you got to do. Put your life together like the can opener. So she was just smiling, putting the can opener together. And to digress just a little bit, we was, we say certified to handle food, and you can't handle food without gloves. So we had 2 big boxes of gloves at the job, and the gloves were gone this morning, completely gone.
Okay, all right.
So they thought they was like, you gotta go get the gloves. So I went to go. I said, I'm going to get the battery, and one of the other owners was supposed to go get the gloves. We ended up not having no gloves. So we was having to prepare the food with our hands because we physically didn't have any gloves, and it was a big box of gloves. I know I looked at it where it was there because the aprons were still there where the gloves was. I said, why would these gloves come up missing, but the aprons are still here? So after we get through cleaning up, how about I come back and they're giving away candy? I said, where did y'all get this candy from? And they was like, it's been here. We have to get rid of it. I said, this is me doing my Nubian thought process. I was like, are your ancestors giving you this candy for recognizing them now? Because like they couldn't keep it. I was like, wow.
So what did all of? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Good. Well,
no, go ahead.
It's, believe it or not, it's more. So I had an appointment to be at 11. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just stay and help y'all work. I'll just reschedule the appointment. So I get in the car to drive over here to go because I'm going to work now. And I got 3 text messages in a row. At the very moment I decided not to go to work, saying that the technician could not come to work, that they're going to have to reschedule the appointment anyway.
Mm.
I'm like, okay. So then I had called this Mexican because he had 200 feet of carpet because I got to lay some carpet in my my godmother's temple. I was calling him and he was like, I'm going to work right now because I was like, I got to go because I got to go pick this carpet up an hour away and then make it back to work. He was like, no, I'm at work already. Tomorrow my son's birthday. I gotta go to Nashville. He was like, can you get it Sunday? I said, I don't know what time I get back. He was like, I like, please, this is going in the temple. He's like, yeah, just come back and get it Monday. I said, I'm gonna take it off Craigslist for you. So that's been my day to day.
Wow. So what did all of those events teach you about Eshu, or that particular path of Eshu?
He's Onibo Day. He's a gate opener to higher consciousness as well as the other spirits that's been trying to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because
you said you were trying to tap into a certain aspect of Eshu.
Yeah.
So did you? Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm listening. I'm trying not to talk.
Oh.
I'm answering the question in my mind, but go ahead. I didn't want to cut you off.
So I was just wondering, have you found out anything in particular about that path of Eshu that compares to all the stuff that you've been through in the past few days?
In my thinking with my subconscious mind, that actually explained my issue, Onibo Day.
Okay.
Nimbo, that's what Onibo Day is. It's the gate holder, the owner of the gate, and the woman that was there was actually the Onibo Day to them because she had a dream about both of them, and they would and the crazy part about it is she said she had a dream that she was in a hospital and she was passing the baby out, and it was a man that was like, it's a girl, and the other girl broke down in tears crying saying, how could you know that? That's what my dad said when I was born. That's my uncle said when I was born. He was doing all that hollering. She was like, and the young lady was like, I last night I couldn't breathe, and her friend was like, yeah, she couldn't breathe, like she had an asthma attack. And the other girl was like, yeah, she said your mother died to give you her energy because she died during childbirth like a day later. And she was like, all last night up to this morning she couldn't breathe.
Wow.
And I was like, my goodness, I'm not a priest or none, but I guess that was you getting your second wind. And like your body is detoxing because she was doing the cleaning. The other lady was having the visions, and I was just bringing up the concept just to see what they're going to say. And like, it won't take my test. And I was pointing it out. And all on Friday the 13th. All on Friday the 13th.
Wow. Wow. That's interesting. Like, that's a lot. You always have a lot going on.
Yeah. Wait a minute. I said, is anybody else? You know how like when Erykah Badu said, y'all feel that? Is anybody else experiencing stuff like that?
You know what? Actually, I didn't think about it, but I have been. Like I said, I work with. I make sure I do offerings and things to Eshu daily, and it has been on my mind lately because actually the show that I was going to do today, I was actually going to talk about cigars. And of course, I got into this whole cigar culture and everything because of Eshu, because I was getting all of these messages from Eshu, and it kind of helped me understand the spirit of tobacco more, or even why Eshu, or likes tobacco. So every time I, go to my Eshu, I have to always, I offer tobacco all the time. So yeah, I guess it has been kind of on my mind.
Yeah, because I'm smoking a cigar right now. My mind is blown away. When I saw them people giving that candy away, I was like, your parents just gave you all this sweet stuff. They sweetening your life up. That's what my godfather said. It was like, you need sweet stuff to sweeten your life up. That's how you sugar people up, And like she gave, somebody is giving us candy. Like they sweetening our life up. And I left my candy at work. I was like, y'all take all of that. Like that ain't for me. That's for y'all. It's been that type of day. And it's just like, wow. I just be wanting to know if anybody else is experiencing that type of stuff.
Yeah. Let me bring Brother Anwar in because I think he may have something to say about it too. Peace, Anwar. How are you?
Greetings, y'all. How you guys doing?
Greetings.
I'm here.
I would love to spend like 30 minutes in your life, Brother DJ. I swear to God.
You always got something going on.
That's all I need, man, to have a whole full life experience, brother. But yeah, I've gone through those trips with my Orishas too. Like even right now, I'm still going through one with Ochosi. And actually, I don't know if it's I had a dream last night, and all I remember before I woke up is that it's done. So I don't know where to go from that, and I don't remember a lot of the dream, and I did a mistake that I normally do, is not write it down in my journal when I woke up. But that's one of the main things that when I woke up, like it's done, I woke up. You know, and I think the one thing I remember seeing is the number 44 inside of I don't know if it was a check or my bank account or something like that. So I don't. 4,400. That's what I seen. So I don't know what that meant. I'm still sorting it through. So give me some time on that. But those trips that you go, those little voyages, those spiritual journeys that you go through when you're dealing with your energies, really they really enlighten you to not only just the energy, but just to your own path and what you're looking for. So a lot of those little keys that was happening through your day-to-day experiences, those are things that you're going to be using probably within your lifetime. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I've learned from my journeys without any intoxicants except for tobacco. Just chiming in on the insight that Chief gave. I chimed in at the end of it. But for the piece that I heard, there was a lot of meat that was being given, and you know, I've had like personal issues dealing with like white race, black race, mixed. And I've had a lot of tribulations in correlation to like the Orishas. Especially like coming from a Leukemia Santeria type offshoot, and I always had a problem with like all the saints being used and these faces being used that didn't even really relate to me. And honestly, yeah, to a certain point, like half of me want to say, yeah, they do relate to me because my mother's side has that influence inside of it. My mother's 40% white and 60% indigenous Indian. So you know, her family is very Christian based, very religious based, and so forth, so on. And a lot of the insights that I've been getting from Chief, like people that pray for you, right? That conversation he had just recently, like let them pray for you. That positive energy is good. My mother has been sending me prayers from Psalms to Proverbs every morning since the new year started. And it took me a while to it took me from listening to Chief to sit there and recognize that as a good blessing, because now I'm reading them. At first I was like, okay, I'm never minded this Christian stuff that I really don't claim. But then I started reading it, and you know, let me see if I can share this one with you. This is the one she sent me yesterday. See if I can find it.
That's the message Chief. That's the message Chief was talking about yesterday, about listening to people, listening to everything people say.
Right.
What comes across your path.
Right, especially when it comes from your bloodline, your mother, your father, your like just like the conversation I had with my father during the holiday about pragmatic thinking. That stuff like that is like real good reminders of where you at. Especially they come through the Orishas, the energies that we work with come through in just the most interesting manner. I found it. I'll read it to you. This is Psalms 143:8. So I'm not sure if this is correct all the way through, and the way she texts me kind of breaks up sometimes. So The Garden of Prayer. In the Garden of Prayer, God enriches your soul with new understandings. Take a nature walk. Distance yourself from stress of work and everyday human affairs. In a secluded environment of peace and beauty, look and listen with the enhanced appreciation for all. You see all you see and hear. Divine ideas will flourish in your inner garden to be harvested by you. You'll attract these ideas that will bring positive and practical results through your faithful application. No matter how busy you are, you can always take time to enter the garden of prayer. It is there you claim your divine inheritance and gather the fruits of the Spirit, love, joy, patience, peace, faith, hope, and happiness. Teach him the way he should go and this is like the end of the affirmation, but teach him the way he should go he lifts every time you see you. Okay, it's kind of take a spiritual take a spiritual walk in your own inner garden of prayer, and get prayer can be more helpful to hear the voice of God as the very spiritual guidance you need.
Okay.
Up his soul. And here's what I got out of that. Minus the fact that when Christians speak of God, I look at myself. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I know I'm a reflection of the Creator. So that's one insight. And when we start talking about the garden of prayer and where we're manifesting all these moments within ourselves, and we're projecting those things outward. So and that's just an example of what Chief was just talking about. Is that sometimes the face doesn't matter none. What matters is the insight, the frequency of what that message resonates with you in your soul. And even in this skit is that it's telling you, look, dig deep inside yourself and pull your force, pull your energy, make your fire.
Not to interrupt you, Armor, but I keep a horseshoe. I keep a horseshoe on my rearview mirror. How about it just jumped off and fell, and I didn't hit nothing?
I keep a horseshoe underneath my car, underneath my seat in my car. So the horseshoe is good, and Chief was breaking down the horseshoe, the whole concept of horseshoe being the Kundalini, and not only that horseshoe, and Chief broke it down also dealing with electricity and ohms. What ohms are? Resistance. Ohms work with resistance. So it's a measure. It's a unit of measurement that would what's the word? Just limit. It's a capacity of how much energy is going into something. Okay, so the ohm is just when you measure something in ohms, you're measuring how much energy is going to something. So so maybe something just with it just falling off your thing. Maybe there was an overload or something that you need to just stop at. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I would interpret it. But that horseshoe is I got one in my Ogun. I got a lot of those. I got ones that's been used. If that means anything, I like using instruments that have actually been used. Like even with my machetes, I put in my Ogun. I went out there and chopped my brush with both of them for like hours, blood, sweat, and tears. So,
but cramp in your hand.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, in the forearm, actually, the forearm is the main part of it. But the insight that she's got me, and I wanted to make this point, is that on my shrines, I don't know if I would still use a saint, the version of a saint, but as a spiritual reference in dealing with my Egbe and my Egun, I do have to recognize them. And I've like even my grandmother, my mother's mother, I recognized her in my shrine a long time ago because I thought there was an element missing, and she was it. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of that stuff is like sometimes we've been pressed with this race you're this race, you're white, you're black, you're Mexican, you're Chinese, and you get so overwhelmed with the mess, and you lose your focus on where your spirituality really resides. Everyone has a place, like Chief State. Everyone has a place in this world, this planet. So everybody has a place. You know, there's got to be a respect barrier for us, for our culture to thrive amongst other cultures and other communities. We all have to look at that. And if we're all on the same page thinking that, okay, my culture is my culture, their culture is their culture, and I can sit here and do my culture and respect their culture or give them their room so they can flourish, we're good. But, you know, there's people that don't think like that seem to want to be the one on the top of the hill when everybody should be on top of the mountain.
Well, you know what though, Omar? You know, that I think that's where good godparents come in, because you find out a lot of that stuff in your roots reading, though. Because like I remember Chief was saying in the book, Solutions for Dysfunctional Families, when you come from a family or a situation that has two different cultures in it, they're gonna fight for dominance. And like once you get some time and get a roots reading, you'll actually see where that played a part in your family line. Like that really might not be part of what your family did, or it could be like something how they was captured. Cause I know when you get your roots reading, you find out your family's Odu, and you find out the family Odu that got you put under slavery or captured or whatever. But you know, it's cool to me. I think, and that's another thing I learned about Eshu. Eshu lets you separate things. So yeah, that has a place, but it might not have a place with that, because I know that's the reason I'm not attracted to certain European things, because it was the Wiccans that came in and gave my family charms that they didn't know what they were, and that's how they took their entire caravan. So that's why I have no connection with it at all. I can respect other people, but as far as like my personal bloodline, they don't deal with them, although they're all Christians. But that's how they caught them. So like a lot of that plays a big part when you get your roots reading and stuff. Like I think that's something that people really need to do. That way you'll find out what you're good at and why you're good at it, and how your family lost it if you are a descendant of a slave. Because they say that head Odu is cool for your family, but the one that you really got the karma that you got to fix is that Odu of how they lost it. Because that's what you have to get back, and that's what you gotta return back to your family. You feel me? Right. So like, it's just funny that you said that, because we were just talking about that. Like my family don't deal with, you know, I call them Gentiles to be nice, but you know, my family don't deal with them because of that, because they was the ones who tricked them. And then the other side of my family were the individuals who told them how to break spirit to help them with prominence and money and everything, and they was having the seed gargoyle type spirit or whatever it was from Europe. And the polarity of it was the fact that they would be done the same way that they did their own people. So my ancestors were the ones who said, okay, this is how you make the E-Days. That's how you take power from the E-Days. This is where you put the shackles at. This is what you make the shackles out of. And this is how you beat their ass until you tell them what to do. Like, I got a lot of them in my family. So a lot of that, when you get your roots reading, you'll find that out. That's why, you know, that's why it's so pivotal to have good godparents and good community who actually know that stuff, you know, who can tell you the way, okay, I've been conflicted about this Christian Muslim thing. I have an affinity for Islam, but some ain't vibing, because that might be how you got caught. That might be how they tripped you. Yeah. You know. So that's something to take into consideration too.
Let me jump in real quick on something that you said. From my experience and the things I've gone through, I went through Ita, and during my Ita, I was told everything that was negative about me. I wasn't told any kind of life path. I wasn't told like what things I need to work on, what things I need to move closer to. I was told
your taboos.
It was more. The funny thing is about the Ita that I went through it felt like a reading. It really felt like a reading. I still reference it back because under my Odu, I got to constantly keep going forward with all the information that I have. So I have to study everything and keep studying it. And I'm not saying that it hasn't been helpful. It has been helpful, but at the same time, I'm like, even right now, I'm like, and it's tough, like how she describes it, life purpose reading, like something like that would be probably where I need to go into because I need more direction. I need more. I feel like I'm going somewhere and I'm working on something, but maybe I'm not doing it in the direction I need to for my ORE. And for me, at this time, this manifestation of time, I need to be in a direction where it's going to be setting me closer to my enlightenment as I get older. By the time I turn 50, I'm turning 40 this year and 39 now, and for me to be 8 years, and it's funny, I was just listening to the show yesterday, and we were talking about 8 years, and it's been 8 years already, and then I started thinking, like, where was I when Obama got elected? And I started thinking to myself, it's like, I've literally been still at the same financial level that I've been 8 years ago. And the only step up I've had was that I actually own a house now. So now taking that inside the atmosphere, yeah, it is. But at the same time, I still find myself in a place of, I don't want to use the word struggle, but struggle to keep currency flowing. You know, and I found myself like having doing a lot and not seeing any results yet. And I started thinking to myself, maybe I need to adjust the energies. I need to make sure I pay close attention to it, pay more attention to it, make sure I'm sitting with these energies and making sure that I'm getting to know these energies and start to understand pathways from myself to project it into a manifestation here. So that's where I'm at. Now, spiritually, one thing I will tell you within the last 8 years is spiritually, I personally feel like I've really stepped into a whole new realm of thought and mind, and I feel a lot more comfortable with myself. And like what we're talking about right now is just distinguishing what works with us and what doesn't, and getting rid of some of these what do you call biases towards like certain groups and cultures and spaces and stuff like that is probably another challenge I got to get over with, and I can see that going away soon, especially with the information. You got one of the things about the information that enlightenment and transformation gives is that it's going to guide you along your path. You're going to receive the information that you need to receive to move forward, you know. So
yeah.
Well, see, like your ether, from what I understand about it, your ether is for you personally. Your roots reading is for what happens around your egun, your family. You know, so like I remember I was listening to he was a Kabbalistic Hermetic magician, and he was talking about money and how everybody's problem with money is a lot of times 9 times out of 10 is how they view it. He was like, you have to look at money not almost, but you have to look at money like water. He said when you really think about water and money, a lot of it has the same titles like liquid assets, currency, river, bank, cash flow. So like in my mind, I'm listening to him, and he was saying it without saying it, but he was like pretty much saying that you have to get really, really acquainted with Oshun, because Oshun deals with clean flowing water. So like if you look at your money as like water, and the way to get it back flowing is that will help your mind correlate your intention to create the magic. Because in my definition, that's what magic is acting on your intentions to accomplish your goal. So like I had got that from him, and once he said that, I looked at money different. I didn't look at something that one can possess. I looked at it as something that's supposed to flow in and out of your life, and the more you add to it, like the more water you add to a stream, the longer it stays. It won't dry up, but you got to keep adding it to it, and you have to send it somewhere. He was like, that's why banks charge you a fee when you don't spend money, like you got a debit card. I know Wells Fargo doing that in Atlanta. If you don't swipe your debit card at least 10 times in a month, then they'll charge you. So like what he said, the reason they do that is to keep money flowing in and out of the banks. It's never meant for you to just stockpile, because stagnant water breeds mosquitoes, and that also breeds disease. So like, I know he knows about Oshun, but with him being in a position that he's in, he can't really promote a particular culture. But that was Oshun. Oshun was pretty much saying that keep me moving, because Oshun don't stay nowhere very long, So like that's like one of the things I had noticed about, what like you said, listening to people and listening to what they say, but also listening to what they're not saying.
Mm-hmm.
But what you already know what it is.
Give thanks, Dietrich, because as you're speaking, I'm listening very in depth, and I'm gonna review what you just said. One of the things that I will mention to you is that my south node is Ogun and my north node is Oshun.
Yeah, because like my
the funny thing is, just to add one more thing, is that I'm working on this module, and I'm still looking for the archetypes and stuff. You have to do a couple things inside of that module, and I'm getting information. See, the information is flowing. The fluidity obeys no laws, and the information is flowing to me that I need to know for my conclusions on this module that I'm doing. And like all the stuff you just said about Oshun, and speaking of the currency and the water, you just made me realize something I probably was told before, but you know what? You just gave me that insight again, so I can remember it, and I give thanks. Thank you, Brother Dietrich.
Yeah, I didn't tell you nothing that you didn't know. I just reminded you, because like Oshun, you hear that, Ogun? You hear that? But yeah, like I was my past life path was Oya, and my current life path is Oshun. So not only do I have to get the Owo, I have to look good and make it look good doing it. So like the first godparent I ever had was Oshun, was an Oshun priestess, and my current godmother is an Oshun priestess. You feel me? So like I said, when she said, listen to every single thing anybody says, that right there, if that don't take your spiritual work to the next level, then you don't need to be doing this, like, for real. Like that's what it said.
That's exactly what I'll say about Chief. Chief has been that, Chief got an abundance of Ogun energy whenever he speaks, and I find a lot of reality checks through Chief quick. Like as soon as he says something, and I'm like, oh, mess. You know what? He's right. and it's funny that once again that spiritual family that you have inside starts to expose itself externally to you when it's time. And like we were speaking about being lonely, is that these elements, these energies come to you when you need them, when it's time for you to recollect them, or time for you to recognize them. So the topic of being lonely is just there's a stage for that. And I've been going through that hermit stage where I feel like, where are my friends at, or where my family at, where is this? But then I'm realizing that everybody's coming together. Like I'm very curious. I mean, my family, they don't really reject none of my spirituality. If anything, they participated. Even my mother, she might come over and cut on Oshun a couple times because she's an Oshun energy herself to me. But it is, and I speak on that because it's she's number one, she loves sunflowers, number one. But the second thing is that she has this current, is this attractive current whenever she's in a room. So anyway. But the things what I was saying is that that loneliness there's a time for it. You have to be in that quiet space maybe for a little bit for you to gain your being, yourself, who you are, so you can move into your community in a proper manner.
Yeah, that right there. I think that a long period that Chief had us doing in that first module, I think that gets you in tune with yourself that way you can protect yourself from energy whores, because like they out here. You got people who just want a piece of you to own for themselves. You feel me? So like that alone time, and I think Chief has said that. Like a lot of the real priests spend a lot of their time alone because people always want a piece of them, and that's why a lot of times that he can't, just be there at every beckoning call, because you do have energy whores that'll just suck your time up. Just because I remember he was doing a show about how he had to block one sister because she was like, yeah, this Baba Lau, he's in my dreams, he's mentally attacking me, XYZ. And then next thing you know, she said that Chief was attacking her. And you're coming to me in my dreams, you're trying to do this to me. That's that classic energy whore type stuff that just wants somebody to respond to them later on. Just respond to them just because. All right now.
Here's another correlation. Here's another correlation that I'm thinking about, and I thought about it as soon as I did that second module. My north node is Libra and the south node is Aries. My oldest son is Aries. My younger son is a Libra, and inside of my Ita, I was told I was 2 or 3. I was one of 3. I was one of 3. And it's just funny how, to me, I'm still trying to figure out what that means. My boys, my male, I only got 2 children, but my boys are like they came through in that energy of Libra and Aries. So it's just, the correlation just is remarkable. You know what I'm saying? It shocked me when I seen it, when I did the research or when I was doing the activity. So
you said you were 1 and a 3?
Yeah, I'm 1 of 3.
You know what's crazy? Today's the 13th, and I'm a Libra.
Yeah. Cool.
I don't know.
I like that.
I pay attention to
13.
Stuff like that.
13 is the equivalent of my Odu that I received in my Ita, my name. Ofun Ogunda or Ofun Funda. So that 13 is 10 and 3. And I in a previous show I spoke on the magic of those 2 numbers. And it's funny, you know what? Think about the dream I just told y'all about on the 13th. Oh my God, I didn't even notice that, man. Too much.
Today is your day, man. Like I would keep my eyes open today if I was you, because you were 1 of 3 that dream, and today's the 13th. After I was just talking about all this issue stuff, like I would really pay attention to what happens to you today. And I think that's why this the module and the training is like what it is. It's like I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty bad about not paying attention to the posts on YouTube. So I don't really read them. I just don't think to read them. But when that brother was like something wrong with the class, I'm like, how you gonna tell somebody else who invented something else something's wrong with it and you don't even know how it works? What this class does, it opens you up to paying attention to the signs. Like, wait a minute. Now, I know I'm a 1 and a 3. One of my spiritual brothers called a line talking about this issue and all kind of stuff dropping and breaking and spirits knocking stuff over. And today is the 13th, which is 1 and a 3, like my Odu says, which equals 4, which is the number of Ogun, if I remember correctly. It's that paying attention to that those little synchronistic nuances that the average person will miss, asking stupid questions and not allowing their mind to answer them. Now I get what you're saying. Like when you get to higher levels, your questions become different.
Yeah.
And as we're speaking, I'm giving S2 some tobacco.
Man, what a day! I want to know what happened
Great
to you.
Tobacco.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to know what happened to you.
It's a padrone. It's one of the higher part of the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Before you all continue, let me just interject real quick to remind everybody. We're all just vibing. I'm just kind of letting the energy flow here between Dietrich and Anwar. It's a lot of things coming up. I'm getting a lot out of it too. But if you want to jump in, and if you have a question or a comment or something, just press the number 1. We have quite a few people on the line. And if you're listening through a different medium, the number is 515-605-9862. All right. Okay, you all can continue. You're about to say something, Dietrich? Are you there?
Excuse the cough, man. Excuse the cough. I got this place smoked out.
Yeah, no, I was saying, like, I just showed up at work, and it just so happened to be 2:22. So I'm going to put my phone on mute and just listen to y'all.
Okay. Thanks for your comments and for your sharing. Okay. All right. Again, we're just kind of flowing. Like Anwar and Dietrich has been on a thing here where they kind of syncing up, and some information is kind of syncing up, and I don't know. It's a lot of things going on. Let me go to another caller here. 347.
Peace, Sister Kim. Peace, Brother Anwar. How you guys doing today?
I'm well.
Greetings.
Greetings. I just wanted to say thank you for the conversation you guys are having. It's very powerful. I'm getting a lot out of it. And the 13 number is actually very special for my family as well. And I'm going to have to sit and meditate with that number for a few weeks and see what happens. But I just wanted to share a movie that came to mind that's related to the topic that you were talking about, Sister, earlier, about how some people are not ready for certain information. It's called A Man from Earth.
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah.
You have?
Really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it much.
I'm a movie buff.
Sorry?
I watch a lot. I love movies, so yeah, I've seen that one.
Okay, because I thought it was it's like a little bit, like, I guess, indie, or like, you know.
It is. Yeah.
It is, but it's so good. I have to sit back and see it again. But and Richie was the one who found it, and he was telling me all about it. Yeah, so I recommend. I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but while you're watching it, I would like people have that idea in their minds about how family would react to the full light of someone, especially like a man or male. You know, sometimes Chief has said that when a man gives all their light to a woman or to people, the ground can get scorched and then nothing can grow. So that's very important too. And that was just relating back to the topic of family, and you know what should we do about that and stuff. But that's all I wanted to say. And I want you to sit back and listen and be grateful.
Okay. All right. So everybody, Michelle just gave us a movie listing, Man from Earth. I recommend everybody check that one out too. I saw that a few years ago, actually. I think maybe a couple of years ago that I saw that. And I have been telling people to watch it too. It's a really good movie. Yeah, by the way. So again, we've got about 30 minutes left in the show, everybody. So if you have anything you'd like to say, just press the number 1. We're just kind of vibing off of everything that Anwar has shared, Dietrich has shared, and Eshu has come up quite a bit. And it's interesting because the other day when I was on the show, I think Chief was speaking and my phone was muted, and I didn't realize that I was speaking, but I didn't realize my mic was muted. And he was saying, "Oh, she's probably off somewhere feeding Eshu," and it's so interesting because I actually was. And usually when I do these shows, I do, make sure Eshu is fed, and I recognize that energy before even starting the show. So, yeah, that Eshu is a really strong energy for me, especially. Yeah.
Let's dive in deep. Oh, you about to bring somebody in? Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, they just dropped, actually.
13. The number 13. Let's talk about that real quick.
Okay, what do you want to say about 13?
The number 4, 13, 1 and 3 plus equals 4, right? Chief was talking about the 4 cardinal points in the slipping my mind in the north, the 4 cardinal points in each corner. The 4 corners of the earth. The vultures. Once again, they're sitting at each corner. Each corner has a different representation. You got the wind, which is the north area, which is spirit, which is the higher self. You got the earth that's in the south point, which is the earth. You have the fire that's in the east and water in the west. Right, so we're speaking of
people now. Oh yeah, water in the west. Excuse me, I got my directions. That's
right. But look at the people that have been on the call so far. Like we've been going from water. The only thing we haven't touched, and I'm pretty sure we're going to touch, is going to be fire in a minute. So, and we've been touching those angles inside of the show, and these directions that we sit in the center of them, and then we choose through our will to move in what direction we need to move, and through our character, through our judgment, our decision making, we use the energy in that node. So, or
through Eshu, because Eshu sits in the middle. He makes you make a choice.
Yeah.
Hard.
That one and that 0 again. It's either on or off. You make a choice. I'm telling you, the correlations between these years and where we're going as a community is amazing. Is amazing.
Yeah, so everybody on the call, y'all might need to make some offerings to Eshu today, or work with Eshu today and the witches, because it's interesting you said that, because yesterday my daughter and I, we were watching The Wizard of Oz. There's like they've remade The Wizard of Oz again, a new TV show into a TV show. And so it's given a whole new twist kind of just on that. And it was interesting. One of the things that I've noticed with this particular version of it is when they speak about the 4 witches. Again, we're talking about the 4 witches, or those that represent those 4 cardinal points. And in this particular version, it seems like they're not necessarily at war with each other. They are all kind of working together a little bit. Even though they represent different things, they are really kind of working together a little bit. And there's a reverence for those 4 energies in this version. So yesterday I was kind of vibing on that, and even just with the whole full moon energy that's going on right now too. Every time, I always, when I'm going through a moon cycle or a phase, full moon or a new moon or whatever, I always make sure that I work with the Iyami during this time, or the witches. So, yeah, that's interesting too that you kind of brought that up. Go ahead, say what you were going to say, Dietrich. Okay, I guess he either dropped or can't hear me. Were you about to say something now, Laura? Somebody was about to say something.
I didn't have anything to say at that moment in time, but you spoke on something that definitely needs to be recognized. And once again, we're working on that masculine and feminine vibration. So that 1 and that 0 again on the 10 year, right? So yeah, definitely.
All these numbers floating around. Numbers. Go back to the Chief Speak show where he kind of went over the numerology of the year and everything. I encourage everybody to do that. I wanted to bring up another point that he made in the clip that I was using, was that and this was the question I was going to ask, and I was going to ask, like, why do you vibe with the entities or the energies that you work with in particular? Because you touched on something earlier, where you were saying, you don't really work with the saints, but then you kind of got to recognize them a little bit. You still kind of do, so you're kind of in between with that. And I don't know. For me, when I even, because I studied several systems, every time I think the block that I ran into with a lot of the systems is that something Chief said in the clip was like, it's okay to work with the energies that look like you. And so that was, right. For me, that was the thing that kind of made me really gravitate toward Orishas and Ifa more than anything, because it was something that I always looked for even when I was a kid, because, well, my first interest was voodoo, because my family is from Louisiana, so all that influence was always there, so I always wanted to know about it, but it was hard to find information or hard to find anything about it. So I kind of skipped all over the place with different systems and different spiritual systems. But each time that I got into one or started to work with the energies, it's not that they didn't necessarily work, but it was just after a while I was just like, but this is not, for whatever reason, it just didn't connect with me enough to make me like really kind of settle. Sometimes like you go in and out of these systems and you just kind of skip around because something is off. And like I said, it's not that that it didn't necessarily work. It was just that, I don't know, for me there was some kind of disconnect there, whether it was the language or the parts of the culture that was just like, that's a little weird. Or, whatever it was just like, okay, this is cool, but it's still not matching up with my life. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So then I skipped to something else or start studying something else. And I studied, different systems, and still to this day, like I might pick up something from, I don't know, chaos magic or, Kabbalah, or, work with some Jewish spiritual stuff or whatever it is. And like I said, it works, but I've had better results with the system I'm working with now. You know what I mean? For me, it worked faster and it just made more sense for me. So I'm not downing anyone in particular. It was just, my own, I don't know, synchronicity with it just didn't stick. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That was the question I was going to ask. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Hey, that's my experience too. The experience that I've had is that I'm not saying the system I'm working with works fast, but it stays in synchronicity of where I'm at, and that's one of the things I appreciate from it. And that's been my experience. And I don't think nothing's meant to be fast. I think anything fast usually goes quick. With the pendulum, how the pendulum swings. So, it's been building me to the point where I'm at. And that's why I respect it. Like I have Hindi blood, I have Islam blood. So it's like when I first started listening to Chief, I mentioned that about using different systems, and I was going to do a research into the Hindi system a little bit more. But I found myself saying, you know what? Let me first work on my system, my Ori, before I start really traveling all over the place.
Yeah,
so, and that's where I'm. That's where I'm at. So, but I agree with the synchronicity part of it.
Yeah, and that was a part of what really attracted me to Ifa or Orisha system, or whatever you want to call it, is that they stress the importance of Ori. Or, this was the first system I saw. It was like, oh, I'm in control. I have power over what happens to me. I'm not just praying externally or trying to work with these external energies. I'm not like a slave to them, or I'm not in submission to them. It's like this system to me, and maybe I missed that point in other systems, because I can go back and see some things now, but this particular, the way the information was given to me now is like, and that's what I was trying to do all this time, trying to reclaim power and control over my life without having to, I don't know, submit to some foreign energy somewhere sitting up on a cloud or wherever it was. You know what I mean? It was like No, you take control, or you have the power to do that. You don't have to, you work with your Ori before you get to these energies. And you are older than the Orisha. These are just energies. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense. And so even now, like, I can go back to those other systems, and with the understanding that I have now, like, oh, this is just the energy. If I want to work with that energy, I can work with that energy. You know what I mean? But for me, it was just this was just something that kind of I understood, that vibed with me a little bit differently than the other systems. Let me pick up another caller real quick. This is 802. 802.
Hello there. Can you hear me?
Greetings. We can hear you.
Great. Well, I had a question for you, because I hear you talking a lot about, you said you've jumped a lot through different spiritualities and religions over your life.
I have.
You talked a lot about how if they vibe with you, or how they make you feel, or if it feels right, and they do at the time, and then they don't.
Okay. I don't know what happened to that call. Okay, let me bring Dietrich back in. I think he had something to say. Dietrich, are you there?
Hello?
Yes.
Y'all not going to believe this, but I get to work and ain't nobody here.
30 minutes, man. I just want 30 minutes.
I was listening to the program still, and I was thinking about Omar. Like, have you ever thought that maybe that a lot of what you're going through is based off who you are? Like, don't you fix stuff?
Right.
Like, aren't you good with tools and things? Well, maybe you are the one, and the reason that you came to, a predominantly Ifa system is because you are meant to fix your family's karma. Because you got a lot of different cultures in your family, and from what I understand about like the ancestral realm, from what I've been taught, is sometimes that they don't necessarily get along in heaven, and they're fighting over whose child are you?
Yeah.
And that could be what, and that could potentially be what that blockage is to the flow of your OO. And you are supposed to be the one to fix whatever got you to the point that your family is at now. So scattered that you can't just, pinpoint what's stopping. My bad, hold on. Mm-hmm. I'm walking down the street. Y'all got to come to Atlanta one day. Y'all wouldn't believe the people y'all see out here, boy. You see Orishas in the flesh out here walking up and down the street. Like, I just saw Eshu, Nana Baruku, and Yemoja in the same line. But maybe that's why, you such an Ogun energy, because Ogun is that surgical repairman that analyzes and fixes things. That's why you good with tools. Because I found out that recently that my family ran a caravan, and they were large animal herders. Like, they was the ones who broke elephants for the king to ride, and that's why I took animal science as in college. So that kind of explains why my life is the way it is, and what the blockage was. And the blockage for my family was getting information and trenches from people that they never seen before. So like a lot of that's like for real, really real. And I was just thinking about it. I'm like, wait a minute, how can Omar fix all these inanimate objects but can't fix the one problem that's been bothering him for the past, since he's been calling? So maybe that's what you're supposed to do, though. You're supposed to fix it for everybody, and once you fix it for everybody, find out who did what, when, why, and how, then you are the one that's going to be that reuniting force to prepare your family's karma and your life path. Not your life path, but just your family name.
Let me tell you something on that real quick. I've been told in I don't know if it was a Misa or if it was a reading, but no, it was a reading, that I had my Eguns were all fighting for dominance, and I have to choose one to lead them. Or I don't know if I have to, but one needs to be chosen to lead the Eguns. And it's funny, while we're speaking, I'm just thinking about what Module 2 was about.
the first activity.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Thank you.
But I really think it's you though, Amar, because you are the repairman.
Right.
Really you.
Right. I got the correlation I'm trying to put together is that the activity I did in number 2, and the first activity that we did made something. I don't like to, I feel like I'm sharing a lot about the class, so I'm trying to keep it as secretive as we should. The secrets are supposed to be given to the people when they're ready. But the activity that I did, it now I can see another angle out of it. That's what I'm getting on. Thank you. Thanks for that information.
Yeah.
You know what was it yesterday that we was talking about Stargate?
Mm-hmm.
Or was that the show before? You know what's funny? And we was just talking about the show when you were saying about, is your rituals working and are you connected to these spirits like you claim you are? And you had said something that stuck out in my mind about how the Orisha reside in you already. So if you know from the grass and the root of divine power, if you know where that Orisha resides, then you can invoke it and call it up. They're not really external to you. They are within. That's why you have to call them up before you call them down, and just manifest physically. And we was talking about the Stargate, and the Stargate is a pathway. And Chief was saying that before we start, getting on the spot tip and worrying about walking through Stargates, have you explored your own Stargate, which is, the member that's on you, that is literally a gate in which life comes out of. And maybe, and I was just thinking today that I was talking about, as you showed me the role of the Onibode, which is the gatekeeper. And we was just talking about Stargates yesterday, and don't SU reside in the root chakra where your Stargate technically is at? So I guess like, the synchronicity, and this is why, having a big community is so important, because like it was 2 shows in, and we got to this point from something I listened that was recorded 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Like it's this call is that powerful, because I'm like, wait a minute. So SU just came through the Stargate that we created from talking about it yesterday, and it was always inside of you. And that just kind of like struck me just then. I'm like, we were just talking about Stargates, and Sister Michelle, I think, was asking about the Stargates, and Chief like broke it down. I'm like, man, that's why listening is so important.
Yeah. Let me bring in another caller real quick. We got about 15 minutes left. This is 864. 864.
Greetings, Kim, everyone.
Greetings.
Pedro.
Peace, Pedro. How are you?
Greetings.
How you doing?
All right. Chilling, man. I was around a few brothers. That's why I couldn't jump in earlier. But I just now picked my daughter up or whatever. So I've been listening, though, and Brother Diedrich is juiced up. You can tell he's been doing his work. You know what I'm saying? Because he's been breaking it down. He's sounding like a chief. But I just wanted to, comment and say, this show has been a good one right here, because it's showing me how everybody really is in tune and in alignment with one another, just from the conversations or whatever. And like Brother Anwar, he put his nose out there. Shoot, I'm the opposite of him. I'm the fire element. My nose.
I told you. Not the opposite. Which thing? I'm fire energy too. So go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, my south node Oshun and my north node Ogun, and so I gotta work on being more aggressive.
All of you are referencing the north node and south node. For those that are listening, what does that mean?
The south.
You can talk about it. It's okay. You don't have to go into too much detail, but just so they know, okay. What are you talking about when you say north and south node?
Can I go, or you guys want to answer it?
Go ahead.
It don't matter.
Well, I was gonna say that if I remember correctly, the north and the south node is your current and past life reality. Like your past, I want to say the south is your past and your north is your current. It doesn't really deal with a future because there technically is no future; it's only the present. But based off of who you was in the past life, is that's the energy that guides you, almost like, and that gives you polarity to function, to find that middle ground between the two, because it really does, which is funny because Oya being my past life road, my people were the worshipers of were Oya worshipers. So like it all makes sense. Like if anybody's going through this class and feel kind of silly doing the exercises, just do them. It'll hit you later, like for real. Like there's no fluff in that. Like just do it, and I guarantee you, if you diligent and open-minded and come with it with the right character, it'll all make sense at a later date, and it'll hit you like a ton of bricks. Almost make you want to go do it again.
And you probably will. You probably will do it about 2 or 3 times, honestly. Well, go ahead, Amor.
Now, what my understanding, and from what Brother Dietrich said, it's completely accurate. But another part of it is dealing with life purpose. And if you, and I think that the other part of that activity when you're looking for other archetypes of those energies, that also breaks down what position that Ogun was playing, and also what position that Oshun might be playing. So, I haven't really got to that part. I still got to do a little bit more of that before I get into it. So I don't want to get too deep inside it because I don't know what I'm talking about just yet, or haven't experienced that whole research section yet. But the concept of life purpose and where your past life was to where you're going, you're presently in, and where you're achieving to go to is one of the main functions of that north and south node. And like even if you break it down to the Opan E5, we were talking about the directionals and the 4 cardinal points. You got. I haven't even started working on the east and west yet. I think that's probably going to come into the equation as I go further inside the class. But that north node and south node parts are the enlightenment, that pulse back to the Olodumare, the creator, the highest defined principle that we're going towards. So that's how I'm looking at it right now. So I'm going to add that.
That makes sense, though.
Yeah, I read that the north node. Yeah.
Hello? Okay, we can hear you.
All right. Yeah, I read that the north node was more of where your destiny lies at, to where you're supposed to come to, as far as like reaching your destiny, and how the energy that you're supposed to carry. And like I said, I agree with everything y'all been saying. And I know it has something to do with even with like your timing with birth too, like as far as the position where you was at during like your birth cycle and stuff like that. I'm not really sure exactly how it goes, but I read it.
How did you get that?
Good.
How did you get that picture?
How did I get that? Oh, that was just on my research. I think it was when I was, looking up what the South Node and North Node meant. I had, with my natal chart, with one I had got, it came with, because I had to give, of course, the time you was born and all that. And it was kind of placing down how the South Node is, I guess, I don't know if it would be the first trimester or something like that. I don't really want to just say because I'm not really sure. I didn't really just go into it like that, but it had something with the time of, how you come into life, pretty much, come into the physical life or whatever.
The exercise or the information you were looking at? The exercise or the information you were looking at?
The exercise?
I'm saying when you say that information that you find, you keep saying it. I was saying, are you talking about the lesson or the wherever you got the chart from?
Yeah, I was going off the lesson, but when I wanted to know more of what the South Node and North Node was, I Googled it. So that's how I was able.
Okay.
You know what? You just said something with that, because like I don't want to give too much of the class away, but what she pretty much had you do was a natal chart. And if you go back, that's why I remember Sister Kim had said that not only is the exercise part of the exercise, but the shows add up to it too, as well as the book, like and grasping the root of divine. Like for if anybody don't know, like a natal chart is where they chart where the planets was at your date of birth, and where Jupiter was, where Venus was, all of that. Yeah. And what just hit me was that Chief just did the same thing, except it made it shorter, because natal charts are extremely long. Like and they're expensive too. Like to get a full natal chart from an astrologer is like almost $300. And if you look at the grasping the root of divine power, the Chief tells you which planet those particular energies govern. So it's pretty much, you get a natal chart reading part of that class. That just dawned on me when you said that, because that's exactly what it is. It's an easy way. It's a shortcut to finding out your natal chart and what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna get to. Is basically, like you said, a hand down natal chart from different.
Yeah, that's big. Like I don't think people understand how valuable that is, bro. That you said that, because that just like as much as I love to help, black people do stuff, I don't think technically Chief is charging enough for that, because a natal chart alone is $300. Like you can make almost $100 for real, because you can make almost $100,000 some dollars a year doing nothing but natal charts, and that's it, because they're that tedious and strenuous, and they're that accurate, and it gives you a snapshot of what's going on around you, which is what Chief just pretty much gave you for whatever price he's giving it to you for, because I don't know what he's selling it for now, but just that when you said that just like clicked. Like, so if anybody ever thinking that this is a bunch of hocus pocus con game, look at what you pay attention to what you're doing, because there's people who doing a lot less and charging a whole lot more, like for real.
Yeah.
Let me jump in real quick. There's just one thing that I'm thinking about when you guys are talking about the date and time you were born and when you arrived on the planet, and you're talking about the alignment of the planets. What about the alignment of the stars when you were conceived on this planet and brought forth? That'd be interesting to find out when our sun was aligned with what other alignments were happening with our sun with the other stars. One thing I do, I've recently just been looking at the stars a lot differently, and I look at them as all as connecting points. And one of the things that I've been thinking about is that the order that the universe is in, and I spoke on it earlier a while ago in our show when Chief was speaking of, there was a caller that came in and was kind of a little, not disrespectful, just was out of line a little bit. And I spoke on order of how stars line up when, say, physically there's a chief, there's warriors, there's a high priest, there's a priestess and shamans and so forth, so on. There's Yami, there's these energies, these stars that are being lined up to manifest a community. So it's just interesting my point really is just interesting to wonder where our sun was lined up when we were born. And I wonder if there's a way for us to find that out.
Well, that's what your when you get your natal chart reading, that's what like when people say I'm a Libra, that's your sun sign, and your second sign is your moon sign. So technically, the planets align with aspects that in case who you are. So like your sun sign, your rising sign is your sun. Your moon sign is different. Pluto is ancestral because it takes so long to come around. Your the type of spirituality you be involved in is involved with Jupiter. Saturn lets you know your taboos. Mercury lets you know, like, it's all different things. And like I'm telling you, if you really read the Gresham New Divine Power and pay attention to the information that he's giving you, and you look at the exercise, that what he just gave you, bro, is, and anybody who's listening, that's almost $1,000 worth of work, because it really puts it in perspective without having to do all of that. Like, that to me, that's real black power. You just empower people to read themselves without having to go to these, crooks, little stage burning barefoot, hippies to tell you something that you already know. Like that, for real.
Let me bring one last caller in before we wrap things up. This is 816. 816.
Peace.
816. Peace.
This is Georgina.
Peace, Georgina. How are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm well.
Greetings, Brother Amor. Is that who I heard?
Yes.
I heard him say greetings. I know it's a little late to chime in. It's just been a real good and interesting show, and so I didn't want to interrupt so much because it's a lot going on, and it's really good. And it reminds me of when I called in, as I was saying the other day, that when I called in, I chimed in to say, like, this show was meant for me to listen to today, and I am really very thankful. Give thanks, as Brother Armour would say, and I hear it being said, and that's one of the things I wanted to ask is, when I say give thanks, a person could sometimes maybe look at it like, are you asking me to give thanks? Are you giving thanks? That's just
what do you think it means? What do it means when you say it?
When I say it now, when I say it the way that you mean it, that I'm giving it. I'm giving thanks, without saying I give thanks, without saying I'm giving you thanks. I'm giving, so. I feel like that's why you say it, right? Like that's where
I think it means different things to different people.
I think it means different things.
Yes.
Can I tell you? When I say give thanks, I leave the I out, and it speaks on the beat. Okay, we as spiritual people work on the downbeat. The first beat, the I give reverence. When I don't say I say it to the higher Olo Damari, the highest defined principle, internally. And then when I say give thanks, that projects into the whole I give thanks concept. Because it is I am speaking here on physical plane, but that giving thanks is, for me, going from a higher elevation, higher place. So I keep that where it needs to be, and then I say give thanks.
And it's similar to saying thank you. It's
more reverent.
Well, you know what? When I say it personally, I'm saying it as an imperative sentence, meaning like you're almost giving a direct command. It's like I'm saying, I give thanks, you should give thanks, everybody should give thanks for whatever it is we're experiencing at the time, because I'm not the only person getting something from it. Like the person giving the information is probably getting something from it, and I give thanks to them for bringing it to me. I give thanks to the energy that passed the message down through them to give to me or to give to everybody that's receiving it at the time. So it's just like, just give thanks. I mean, give thanks to all the energies involved, and And say, for instance, this show, give thanks to the energies that spoke to Dietrich to share his message that he shared with us today. Give thanks for having Dietrich here. Give thanks for Brother Anwar and everything that's being shared amongst everybody. So I'm saying I give thanks, and everybody else give thanks as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
Gotcha.
Have you seen the movie Harlem Nights?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Of course.
Have you seen Harlem? You remember when Benny or Fred Sanford was at the crap table and they was roasting him because he had them big glasses on, and he was like, "Shut up, pay everybody. Everybody get paid. Pay everybody." That's what it sounds like to me when you say like, because Sister Kim was saying when Sister Kim said give thanks for everything. That's like saying pay everybody. Pay Ola Damare for giving us the platform. Thank you for letting us talk on the phone. You feel me? Give thanks for your Oris. Give thanks for people being quiet and letting us talk, like the whole thing. So like that's like a pay everybody type thing.
Yes.
She said it perfectly, better than I could.
I get it. That's great. I get.
What did you say, Anwar?
I said we won the lottery. We won the lottery.
Yeah. Now pay everybody.
Yes, I was that was just one of the things that came up in my mind. Like I said, a lot of things were coming up in my mind, and I can remember the first time I said thank you, and Chief said give thanks. So I said it again, but so I'm like you said, a command, like you're commanding, instead of saying thank you and being just one individual, like one specific that person. It's like I get it, like you're giving thanks, like you said, as a whole. Like you said it way better than just that. But I wanted to chime in to give thanks for the show, and I missed yesterday's show up until the last several minutes, and I got a chance to listen to it yesterday, and you mentioned my name, and so I wanted to give thanks for the mention in the beginning of the show. And also I wanted to make mention of what I felt when I was listening to the show to Sister Michelle, because I feel like when I came on the show that day and we were discussing, family and disconnecting and cutting people off, I feel like from her response to it on yesterday's show, I felt in a sense, I kind of felt that she was speaking to me, and maybe because in a sense that day I was speaking to her, and I wanted to say that it didn't feel all the way right with me to have said what I said, if in fact it might have caused her to feel a certain way that might have brought her any kind of discomfort. However, I was saying what I was saying to almost kind of to get to with the thought of maybe this can help her, because I felt empathy for her situation. And even though she mentioned not everybody knows her situation and everybody's dynamics are different, family, stuff is different. And also getting what she said about Chief saying not to be apologetic, because a part of me feels like I want to say I'm sorry, if I hurt your feelings. And then I'm like, I don't know if that cancels out, I don't want to say I'm sorry to be apologetic, right? Because I did say what I said to help, because I wanted to help. So so I don't want to come apologetically. And I, you know, my other thought process is like, am I being wrong for not being apologetic? You know, and so, but listening to her say, like Chief said, don't be apologetic. You know, I'm thinking that's something he said, so that's something I don't want to do. And then find out the reason why I don't want to, and the reason why is to find out, well, why? Because, like she said, it was something that she felt at the time, and that's how she felt, and you know, and has to be, you know. To think maybe not everybody understands that, and I felt like that's what she was when she was talking to me, because that I was talking to her, or referring, you know, what I said, what I was saying, it was with the thought of what she was saying as far as for, you know, cutting people off, and I felt like I don't want her to, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't know the background, so I don't want to, you know, and it's like, oh, I just, you know, and so it was really intended to help and not sound wicked, or you felt it too. I knew you would. I'm like, they all know, I know they feel it. I know they know what's going on. And so, and that brings my other thing I wanted to say was that I really do enjoy being here and listening and knowing that everybody knows what they're talking about. Like the caller before me, like, it's so neat that everyone knows what they're talking about. I am in this for about 2 years, like I was saying before, and I feel like I'm 2 years old. You know, like I don't know everything. I don't know, you know, and it feels good to hear everyone dialoguing about everything that the little different systems that I've been tapping into, like numerology and astrology and the Orisha and everything. So it just feels really good. Once again, I feel really good about the call, because this is the same way I was feeling that day when I was recorded, you know, where I called in and said this was meant for me to hear today, because I'm hearing a lot of things that are helping me that I'm not going to get into because we don't have another hour. But, also, I wanted to say, too, I felt also some kind of way where I was like, I said girl to her. I was like, girl, you know, and I'm like talking to you like you're like my homegirl. And I feel like, well, that's okay. But then I felt like, well, maybe that's not okay. Like how I've heard you say, like sometimes you just don't address anybody how, you know, like you've been knowing them forever, even though you guys are like, welcome me into the family and let me know it's okay to, you know, come and build and everything. I don't know. It just was something that made me feel like, well, I want to say that to Sister Kim, that it's kind of, if it rubbed you the wrong way, I didn't mean for it to seem like, you know, I was
that's no problem.
Disrespecting, you know, your person. And then lastly, I just want to say, I think it was cool. I listened to the emoji thing where I looked today and shared because I have Sadulu House as the group that I'm in on Facebook, and I shared the post that was posted today saying like there was like 5 more minutes, and I looked and I said, it said KM Unity, and which means community radio, but I thought it was just specific that it said KM, like you were saying, instead of putting the I's, Kim, and then Unity. And it's just like, this is your show. Like, I put the 2 and 2 together. Like, this is, and, you know, and I just give thanks. And I just put that, you know, together. Like, wow, Unity and Kim and community. And
kind of a play on words.
Yes. And I love it. And again, I just want to give thanks. And
well, thank you. Thank you for sharing. I think it's important that something, you know, that you're listening and breaking these things down. Sometimes we don't even think to ask, or maybe too embarrassed to ask, like, what do you mean when you say give thanks? You know, just like you were saying on the show the other day when you said, why do they say weak instead of strong, or good dawning instead of good morning? You know, those are things that kind of fly by that a lot of people miss, and that sometimes they're too afraid to ask and say, wait a minute, what do you mean by this? They don't want anybody to know that, okay, I really don't get it. So I just want to give thanks to you because somebody else is listening and they probably wanted to ask that question for a long time, but didn't have the humility to ask. So that's a really good sign that you are, soaking this up and paying attention. So yeah, give thanks for that.
Yes, good thanks.
Because that's something I did too. I used to think about that all the time too. Like, why do they say weak instead of strong? Looking at the book, why is this symbol on this page?
You're saying it backwards. Wait, you're saying it backwards. You're saying it backwards. You're saying, why do you keep saying weak instead of strong? And you said it the first
time.
Why
do you say strong instead of weak? Or why are certain symbols on this page of the book? Why is that symbol right there? Why does he put that symbol there? Why, so those are certain things that I pick up. I was picking up on too, trying to pick up, like, why is he saying that? What does that mean? Or, so I think that's something that a lot of people sometimes miss, but are too afraid to ask. So, yeah, go ahead, Dietrich.
Yeah.
I was going to say, that's why Chief said always be natural as you can. Don't try to be rigid and talk like people who have a greater understanding than you about stuff. Like it's habitual. Cause like that's one thing I noticed. Like I got a pretty good bit of African friends and family, and they learn English by listening to music. Like they don't really learn English like in school like you would think. They learn it by listening to movies, to listening to music. So like you'll pick up how people address each other and how people communicate with each other by listening. That's why she said this is so important. Listening is so important because you'll start to see how people interact. Like one thing I'm really proud of, and one thing I can say that if you listen to how this show works, as opposed to calling other quote unquote black higher spiritual conscious radio programs or whatever, is you never hear what the program is about because everybody talking over each other. Interrupting people. No. See, what I'm saying is they don't do all of that. You feel me? My brother. It ain't all of that. And so that's why. And I was trying to figure out what Chief was saying when he said always be natural. That's what that is. It'll come with it if you're being genuine, in my opinion. But that's Chief. That was big when Chief said that because you being open and honest and you asking questions that people probably never thought of. Like why do they say dawning instead of morning? And it makes you use your left brain a little bit. It's opening both sides of your brain. But you got to be natural to let that flow like that.
Yeah.
We came right back to the 0 and the 1. Speaking and listening. Speaking and listening. Sister Kim, I just want to say one thing. You coined the term Anubians. I'm going to coin the term as the Anu Pulse.
As what?
Anu Pulse, the Anu Pulse, man. I'm telling you, when we get to that BPM, I'm telling you, it's good. It's real good. The Anu Pulse.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
And you're not a girl, too, by the way. I don't know if I'm still in. Am I still in the call?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Oh, okay. And then that's one of the things that made me think. I was like, she's not a girl. I shouldn't, like that made me think to even, certain, like we're talking about words, you're saying, on words. It's like, okay, like I said, if that made you feel like any kind of like, she's not a girl, like, so I don't want to call her a girl, but it was just something, like I said, it just kind of came out like
Yeah. That's one thing, that's one thing. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. That's one thing about it. It does, help you catch some of the things that you say or just make you more aware of what you say. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it does give you pause to say, wait a minute, what did I just say? Yeah.
Right. And I said I haven't even listened to show, my part in the show again, because I'm like nervous to go look because like I was saying, I'm so nervous all the time, and I am a lot of times nervous. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to deliver things. So that's my challenge is articulating or saying things. Yeah.
Yeah. It'll come. It'll come because that's something I think that's something that everybody should be aware of because I remember, being around certain people or being in circles of friends where everybody picks up this, the conscious language where everybody got to say hotep and peace brother and peace sister and all this other kind of stuff. And I just could never, bring myself to do that, or even to say Alafia or whatever, because I was like, I don't really know the full meaning of what that means. So you don't hear me saying Alafia, or, if I say peace sis or something like that, it's like, it's because I really have explored that relationship with that person. Chief talked about that, like what makes this person a sister? How do you know they're a sister? He said that on the show recently. So it's like, that's something that, it took a while for me to even say this strong, or, or just greeting someone in a particular kind of way, because it wasn't all the way in me just yet. So even if I said it, it would have came out like I was faking, and I can hear that in some people when they come to you, say, peace, brother, peace, sister, or hotep. I'm like, what does that mean? And why are you greeting me like that? I don't even talk like that. You know what I mean? So, it's like you can hear it. So it's something like I would just say, don't force it. You know what I mean? Really explore what it means to you. Really, just really kind of sit with it and figure out what does it mean to you, so that when you do say it, it is genuine, because then it'll just come out. So I even find now, like, even when I'm talking to people that I know probably don't know what I mean when I say it, I have to correct. I stop. I'll say, well, I'll talk to you next strong or something like that. And they'll be like, huh? Some people catch it. A lot of people don't at all. It just goes right over their head. They don't even catch it. But it'll just come out naturally. So it's not something, I hear people, greet Chief a certain way. There's a certain way you're supposed to greet a chief or whatever. But sometimes, people are just on automatic. They really don't know why they're saying that, or don't even know the proper way to do it or whatever, because it's not really in you. You know what I mean? So, like Brother Dietrich said, or the Anwars just said, be your natural self. You know what I mean? Eventually, it'll seep in if it's in you. It'll sink in.
Yes. I do want to give thanks for Brother Dietrich mentioning about the bank account thing too, because I don't have one. And when he said something in regards to take your money, like it's not saving, so it's like I felt good about that, because I was feeling bad about it. Like I was starting to feel like, what's wrong with me? Why don't I don't trust it, and like I thought, okay, it doesn't make me a totally bad person to not have a bank account. Like people ask, like, stuff for, your shopping, and like, well, you can get a credit card for that. No, I don't want to really deal with all that, And they're like, well, you just have to need a checking account. Oh, I don't even have a bank account. I'm good. It made me feel better that I'm like, okay, I don't have a bank account, and actually that's not a bad thing. I don't feel like it is anyways, now that he mentioned that. And I also wanted to say one more thing and give thanks to the fact that I was able to listen to Sister Michelle and be able to say what I had felt, and just give thanks for her sharing what she shared yesterday, so that it could bring me to where I came today, to be able to express what I could.
Yeah. I think I muted her actually, because I think I heard Odin in the background. I think she was talking to him or something. But Michelle, I hope you heard it. So anyway, we've come to the end of the show. So I just want to thank everybody for sharing. It's a lot being shared today. So it was a really good show. Everybody's just kind of vibing, and I'm pretty sure that if you go back and listen to it and kind of sit with it a little later, you'll probably catch something too. When you think about maybe a dream you recently had, or something that recently happened, we do tend to sync up a lot. So thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll be back on Monday or Moon Day. All right. Remember, if you want to be a part of the Women's Call, make sure you on Monday night, make sure you sign up with Our New Life Global to be on that call. All right. So until then, everybody enjoy your day, and I'll speak with you again on Moon Day. All right. Peace.
Right.
Peace.
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 Good
Whatever.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.